Citizens, how's your spirit? I thought that we do things a little bit different. Let me fix my hair. This always bothers me when my hair sticks out from my glasses. So, one of the reasons that I tend not to wear my glasses or any glasses is because I lose weight ever so quickly. And they tend to fall off my face. They make me look autistic anyway. And then on top of that, you imagine me putting a little clipper on it or whatever, one of those little rope thingies like they do children. And that's too much, so I just can't. Um, anyway, we are coming up on what's known to most people as Valentine's Day. There are some other names for it. There are some other reasons for it. We'll let parents and librarians get into the historical references and whatnot. It's just that between today and that day, 1:11 on the clock, is what we all know affectionately as Freaky Friday. And here's where we need to talk about something. Underneath it all is supposed to be love. Now, we around the world have had a very dysfunctional way of showing our love for one another. And we're seeing that play out in real time. We have railed against each other on every political point that there is, basically, only to look at each other and say, you know what? If I think you're a bad person, that makes me a bad person. Let me take a step back. And then while the general adult populace, that's the people over 40, took a step back, the children were like, hey, yo, wait a minute. Here it is. We understand. We understand because we identify with the people that you always thought you were mad at. Now you're like, you identify with them too. This is one of those things that you do get to thank Donald Trump for. Um, More than, say, recent presidents 222. Because he at least said that he understood the common man. He just isn't the common. Okay, he is that. Uh, you ever had a gold chain and you get that little kink in it? He's that piece of chain that has been kinked up, linked up, so to speak, in a weird way. And so when you undo all of the chinks in the armor, so to speak, it straightens out. It's just not completely straight. And that's really the point in this case. There are people in this world who chose not to give up on him. The same way that I chose not to give up on on Darrell Long or my cousin Demario Perkins. Despite what anybody else said, they're men. They're men who were doing their best to get the word out, to make a difference, to speak something into existence in every way they saw possible. Nonviolence begets nonviolence. Violence begets violence, right? So why pick a fight that's not verbal? Do you understand? Why not be silent when the loudest person in the land is getting out of hand? You allow that person to show and prove what they are either up to, need to work on, or whom it is that is manipulating them to sometimes. Yet when we don't trust yet and verify things, we miss something. I've always said I trust people to be people. And underneath it all, we have a human growth and development understanding that is absolutely correct about who we are, even though it's built on faulty logic. I have been course correcting the logic for a very long time. I found the link to be cannabis. You see, when you can communicate with someone through the noise, through the resistance, through the discord, Skepticism no longer matters because the mind is now open. We're not talking about a third eye situation. We're just talking about the fact that a hit a day will make you open your mind and see things differently. Give peace a chance. That one love thing. You see? Each of us is meant to carry forward a little bit of history, some of us more than others, some of us a lot more than others. It's okay. Why be angry about it? Why not show love in a different way? If we know that by way of the things that I've been saying, pretty much from this chair since Halloween, that these things are not real, why continue to participate in them? Here's where I give the Muslims credit, more so than others, because they say do not participate in pagan holidays. They also revere the Most High, Mother, Father, God. Allah is the God of all of us. The Mother, first, all of us. The Father protects us all. You understand? When we understand this, we are then able to develop a new way of loving, which means we need to bring something up. There is a case here in the United States known as the loving case. I want you to understand. There's a reason why most Black Americans, African Americans, and those of other countries do not practice Western marriage. We were not allowed to. In fact, we basically were not allowed to until the loving case. In that case, it was a white gentleman and a Black, I want to say she was a former slave, a freed woman. Okay? They made children, they lived on the land, and they were minding their own business. Off gridders, what we call them today. And somehow something comes about, they get found out, and they have to go all the way to the Supreme Court. It's a landmark case. After that, we begin fighting over what's considered marriage in this country. And then in the 90s, we get to civil unions, which uh, give me 1 second. Hmm. Okay. In the 90s, we had a young man by the name of Pedro. Pedro ended up getting, uh, huh? Yeah. I can't. I can't. Thank you. Okay. So, this is my life. But anyway, and that's a good thing. That means that my business is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, back to it. Okay, so Pedro, um, if I'm not mistaken, much like the young man Ryan White, um, contracted HIV and or AIDS by way of a blood transfusion. He would go on to get married under a civil union in this country, and we know his story by way of the real world on television. I studied HIV and AIDS when I was 13. These young men were around the same as me, or the same age as I, and would be today were they alive. So that's why I recognize a lot of the things that are happening. And HIV and AIDS is a bloodborne illness. And I told you it has all to do with the heart and love and understanding. Back then, Pedro and his person would have been mistreated in this country. That's the conversation that mothers and fathers today need to have with their children because that's basically the modern Ruby Rosing situation today. Okay? My personal beliefs aside, everyone else has a right to speak theirs. So getting back to it, Muslims have specific holidays for specific things celebrating the Most High God, the Mother, and the Father. When it comes to me, and I say God owes me something in a video I posted recently, it's because knowing Islamic prophecy, the mother of three Muslim men who keeps up Islamic law and does the right thing is entitled to a certain amount of blessings by way of the Most High God. Neither she nor her children know what those blessings will be. And you see how it has nothing to do with humanity and everything with that person as a human being. Had I been a bad mother, had I been a bad follower of faith, had I done the wrong things, one of the most important things is that right now, as I said, we're in what they would call probably the highest of holy times. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are all based on the Abrahamic religion. Okay? That religion, I'm sorry, Abrahamic law, forgive me, 11:11 on the clock for clarity. Abrahamic law is based on the things that happened to Abraham and Jesus' bloodline throughout history and or time. When you include Islam and you include the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and you understand that the things that happened to the journalist Charlie in France, the things that happened to Charlie Kirk in this country, and the things that continue to happen to me by way of the way that I speak, despite me being a Muslim, you fully understand what it is that I am saying about having to understand or know all of the law, not just a little bit. We have to be cognizant of God's law, man's law, religious law, and the law of the land that we are in at the time, including the cultures that we visit while we are in those countries and or continents. Okay, when we do that by way of coming into contact with each one of those people and giving them just a little bit of a time each time that we meet them, 12:22 on the clock, that opens up the lines of communication for us to learn something about each other. Maybe not in each conversation do you talk back. Sometimes you just gotta listen, process, categorize, interface it, and then communicate it. Maybe we're not involved in everything yet. An understanding of things from our perspective, spoken aloud, helps. Which brings us to this last thing. There are what are known as spells. We know this by way of Harry Potter, so this is how I'm getting us to the point of understanding magic without exactly involving the children in the other things. See? Anyway, how do you think I earned my degrees in knowledge and education and math? Okay, so anywho, we know a spell to be bippity boppity doo, put it together and what do you get? Sippity soppity, abracadabra, so on and so on. Depending on your age, you get it. Okay, we've all come in contact with magic. Yet, there is God's magic and there's other magic. God's magic is discernment. God's magic is the ability to teach anyone. God's magic is humbleness, not humility. God's magic is all the things that I put in the video below. You see, God is always listening. God is omnipresent. We speak God into existence out of our own mouth. We also speak spells into existence. We didn't always communicate by way of the written language. We had to learn to spell. In so doing, we learn to spell by way of using our mouths to weave a word or a web of victory or deceit, depending on what you believe. Remember when I said, don't forget the number six? That's what makes the difference. You have to choose to live out your life, your journey, to love your neighbor. Love thy neighbor. Love thy brother. Love thy mother. Love thy sister, cousin, and your mother. You know, love people. in the most appropriate way possible. As long as you don't blur the lines between the different types of love, knowing how you to communicate love. That's where love languages comes in. And you can begin again with a new understanding. Now you can determine what your actual love language is. And you can do it in record time. See? I am not saying that you cannot enjoy what is the spirit of Valentine's Day. What I am saying is remember that it comes from somewhere. It's the culture of someone else, and that may or may not be a good thing. Do not appropriate someone else's culture into your own life until you understand that culture. So much so that you can communicate it to them in your language and they can respond to you in a head nod or two. Something. That's why math has been the universal language up until this point, not English. It is, however, not the language of the gods. We'll get into that some other time. Right now, enjoy the coming days. Just remember that there is magic afoot between today, tomorrow, and certainly on that day when your hearts are supposed to be open wide and communicating love. Do all of that. Just make sure that it's with the ones that you actually love. That love that can be given back to you and your community and then poured out to the world around. Make sense? Enjoy this. Keep your spirit up. I'll see you in the streets. Peace.